Volume 2, The Book of the Secrets, a new commentary. Discourse number 18, given in Bombay, India.
The first question. Techniques are shortcuts, revolutions, but are not these against Tao, Swabhav, the nature? They are. They are against Tao. They are against Swabhav. Any effort is against Swabhav, Tao. Effort as such is against Tao. If you can leave everything to Swabhav, Tao, nature, then no technique is needed. Because that is the ultimate technique. If you can leave everything to Tao, that is the deepest surrender possible. You are surrendering yourself, your future, your possibilities. You are surrendering time itself, all effort. This means infinite patience awaiting. If you can surrender everything to nature, then there is no effort. Then you are not going to do anything. You will just float. You will be in a deep let go. Things will happen to you, but you are not in any effort for them. You are not even seeking them. If they happen, it is okay. If they don't happen, it is okay. You have no choice. Whatsoever happens, happens. You have no expectations. And of course, no frustrations. Life flows by. You flow in it. You have no goal to reach, because with the goal, effort enters. You have nowhere to go, because if you have somewhere to go, effort will come in. It is implied. You have nowhere to go, nowhere to reach, no goal, no ideal. Nothing is to be achieved. You surrender all. In this surrendering moment, this very moment, all will happen to you. Effort will take time. Surrender will not take time. Technique will take time. Surrender will not take time. That's why I call it the ultimate technique. It is a no technique. You cannot practice it. You cannot practice surrender. If you practice, it is not surrender. Then you are relying on yourself. Then you are not totally helpless. Then you are trying to do something, even if it is surrender. You are trying to do it. Then technique will come in. And with technique, time enters. Future enters. Surrender is non-temporal. It is beyond time. If you surrender this very moment, you are out of time. And all that can happen will happen. But then you are not searching, not seeking it. You are not greedy for it. You have no mind for it at all. Whether it happens or not, it is just the same to you. Tao means surrender. Surrender to Swabhav, to nature. Then you are not. Tantra and yoga are techniques. Through them, you will reach to Swabhav, but it will be a long process. Ultimately, after every technique, you will have to surrender. But with techniques, it will come in the end. Tao, in Tao, it comes in the beginning. If you can surrender right now, no technique is needed. But if you cannot, and if you ask me how to surrender, then technique is needed. So rarely, in millions and millions of men, one can surrender without asking how. If you ask how, you are not the right type who can surrender. Because the how means you are asking for a technique. These techniques are for all those who cannot get rid of this how. These techniques are just to get rid with your basic anxiety about how to do it. If you can surrender without asking, then no technique is needed for you. But you would not have come to me. You could have surrendered anytime. Because surrender needs no teacher. A teacher can teach only a technique. When you seek, you are seeking technique. Every seeking is a seeking for technique. When you go to someone and ask, you are asking for a technique, for a method. Otherwise, there is no need to go anywhere. The very search shows that you have a deep need for technique. These techniques are for you. Not that without technique it cannot happen. It can happen. But it has happened to very few persons. And those few persons are also really not rare. In their past lives, they have been struggling with techniques. And they have struggled so much with techniques. Now they are fed up. They are bored. A saturation point comes. When you have asked again and again how, and ultimately the how falls, then you can surrender. In every way, technique is needed. A Krishnamurti, he can say that no technique is needed. But this is not his first life. And he couldn't have said this in his past life. Even in this very life, many techniques were given to him, and he worked on them. So you can come to a point through techniques where you can surrender. You can throw all techniques and simply be. But that too is through techniques. It is against Tao because you are against Tao. You have to be deconditioned. If you are in Tao, then no technique is needed. If you are healthy, then no medicine is needed. Every medicine is against health. But you are ill. Medicine is needed. This medicine will kill your illness. It cannot give you health. But if the illness is removed, health will happen to you. No medicine can give you health. Basically, every medicine is a poison. But you have gathered some poison. You need antidote. It will balance. And health will be possible. Technique is not going to give you your divinity. It is not going to give you your nature. All that you have gathered around your nature, it will destroy that. It will only decondition you. And you are conditioned. And right now, you cannot take a jump into surrender. If you can take, it is good. But you cannot take. Your conditioning will ask how. Then techniques will be helpful. When one lives in Tao, then no yoga, no tantra, no religion is needed. One is perfectly healthy, no medicine is needed. Every religion is medicinal. When the world will live in total Tao, religions will disappear. No teacher, no Buddha, no Jesus will be needed. Because everyone will be a Buddha or a Jesus. But right now, as you are, you need techniques. Those techniques are antidotes. You have gathered around yourself such a complex mind that whatsoever is said and given to you, you will complicate it. You will make it more complex. You will make it more difficult. If I say to you, surrender, you will ask how. If I say, use techniques, you will ask, techniques are not techniques against Tao. If I say, no technique is needed, simply surrender, and God will happen to you, you will immediately ask how. Your mind. If I say, Tao is right here and now, you need not practice anything. You simply take a jump and surrender. You will say, how? How I can surrender? If I give you a technique to answer your how, your mind will say, but is not method, technique, way against Swabhav, against Tao? If divinity is my nature, then how it can be achieved through a technique? If it is already there, then the technique is futile, useless. Why waste time with the technique? Look at this mind. I remember, once it happened, one man, a father of a young girl, asked composer Leopold Godowsky to come to his house and give an audition to his daughter. She was learning piano. Godowsky came to their house. Patiently, he heard the girl played. When the girl finished, the father beamed, and he cried in happiness and asked Godowsky, isn't she wonderful? Godowsky is reported to have said that she is wonderful. She has an amazing technique. I have never heard anyone to play such simple pieces with such great difficulty. She has an amazing technique. Playing such simple pieces with such great difficulty, I have never seen anyone. This is what goes on happening in your mind. Even a simple thing, you will make it complicated. You will make it difficult for yourself. And that is a way of defense. This is a defense measure. Because when you create difficulty, you need not do it. Because first, the problem must be solved, then you can do it. If I say surrender, you ask how. Unless I answer your how can you surrender? If I give you a technique, your mind immediately creates a new problem. Why the technique? Swabhav is there, Tao is there, God is within you. So why this endeavor, this effort? Unless this is answered, there is no need to do anything. Remember, you can go on in this vicious circle continuously, forever and ever. You will have to break it somewhere and come out of it. Be decisive. Because only with decision your humanity is born. Only with decision you become human. Be decisive. If you can surrender, surrender. If you cannot surrender, then don't create philosophical problems. Then use some technique. In both the ways, the surrender will happen to you. If you can surrender right now, it is okay. If you cannot surrender, then pass through techniques. That training is needed. It is needed because of you, not because of Swabhav, not because of Tao. Tao needs no training. It is needed because of you. And the techniques will destroy you. You will die through the techniques. And the innermost nature will evolve. You have to be centered completely. If you can center it in a jump, surrender. If you cannot, then piecemeal. Through techniques, work on it. But remember one thing, your mind can create problems which are tricks. Tricks to postpone decision. If the mind is not settled, you don't feel guilty. You feel, what can I do? Unless something is absolutely clear, transparent. What can I do? And your mind can create clouds around you. And your mind will not allow you to be transparent ever. Unless you decide. With decision, clouds disappear. Mind is very diplomatic. Mind is political. And it goes on playing politics upon you. It is very tricky, cunning. I have heard once Mullah Nasruddin came to visit his son and the daughter-in-law. He had come for 3 days, but then he stayed for 1 week. And then the 1 week passed and he stayed for 1 month. And then the young couple started worrying how to get rid of the old man. So they discussed how to get rid, and they hit upon a plan. The husband said that today night you prepare soup, and I will say that there is too much salt in it. It cannot be eaten. Impossible. And you have to say that there is not enough salt in it. And we will argue. And we will start quarreling. And then I will ask my father, what is his opinion, what he says. If he agrees with me, then you get mad and tell him to go away. If he agrees with you, I will get sore and I will tell him immediately go away. So the soup was prepared. And as it was planned, they started quarreling and arguing. And then the climax came. They were just on the verge to hit each other. And Nasruddin was sitting silently watching. And then the son turned towards him and said, "Pa, what do you say? Is there too much salt or not?" So Nasruddin dipped his spoon in the soup, tasted it, meditated a moment upon the taste, then said, "It suits me perfectly." He didn't take any side. The whole plan was futile. Your mind goes on working in this way. It will never take any side, because the moment you take the side, action has to be there. It will not take any side. It will go on arguing. It will never decide anything. It will be always in the middle. Whatsoever is said will be argued, but it will never become a decision. And you can argue ad infinitum. There is no end to it. Only decision will give you action, and only action will become transformation. If you are really interested in a deep revolution within you, then decide. And don't go on postponing. Don't be too much philosophical. That is dangerous. For a seeker, it is dangerous. For one who is not seeking really, just passing time, it is good. It is a good game. Philosophy is a good game, if you can afford it. But I don't see that anyone can afford it, because it is wasting time. So be decisive. If you can surrender, then there is no how to it. If you cannot, then practice some technique. Because only then through technique you will come to a point where surrender will happen. Second question. In a natural course, after millions of years and lives, one will be enlightened. But we might have already passed through millions of years and lives, and yet are not enlightened. Why? You cannot ask why. You can ask why only if you are doing something. If nature is doing something, you cannot ask why. It is up to nature. And nature is not responsible. It is not going to answer you. It is completely silent. And for nature, millions of lives are nothing. For nature, it may be just seconds. To you, millions of lives and years is a long history. For nature, it's nothing. And nature is not worried. And nature is not interested in you particularly. Nature goes on working. Someday it will happen. But you cannot ask why, because nature is silent. If you are worried that why it has not happened yet, then you have to do something. If the worry has entered you, then you have to do something. Only your doing will help you to come to a point where enlightenment can happen. Nature's ways are very patient, slow. There is no hurry. Because for nature there is no limit to time. It is eternal. There is no beginning and no end. But man has come to a point. He has become conscious. He has started asking. A tree never asks. Even a Bodhi tree, under which Buddha becomes enlightened. The tree will never ask why I have not become enlightened. Because I am also existing. For as million years as you have existed, Gautam. Why? The tree will never ask. The tree is absolutely natural. The questioning makes man unnatural. The unnatural has entered in you. You have started questioning why. Why it has not happened yet. This questioning is good because it can lead you to a decisive moment where you can start working upon yourself. And man cannot leave it to nature because men have become conscious. You cannot leave it to nature now. That's why man has created religions. No animal has any religion. There is no need. They are not asking. They are not in a hurry. In nature, everything is unhurried. Moving so slowly as if not moving at all. Continuously repeating the same pattern. Infinitely repeating the same circle. Man has become conscious. Man has become conscious of time. And the moment you become conscious of time, you are thrown out of eternity. Then you are in a hurry. So as man's consciousness evolves more, he is more hurried. He becomes more and more time conscious. Go to a primitive society. They are not time conscious. More civilized a society, more time conscious. A primitive society is nearer nature. Unhurried. It moves slowly. Just as nature moves, it moves. The more you become civilized, the more you become conscious of time. Really, time can be the criterion. How much a society is civilized can be known. How much it is time conscious. Then you are in a hurry. Then you cannot wait. Then you cannot leave it to nature. You have to take it in your own hands. And man can take it in his own hands. He can do something. And the process can be finished sooner. It can even be finished in a single moment. All that millions of years have not done, have not been able to do, you can do in a single moment. In that single moment, you can become so intense that millions of years and millions of lives are traveled simultaneously. That's possible. Because it is possible, you are worried. Your worry is a symptom. Something which is possible, you are not making it actual. That is the worry. That is the human dilemma. You can do it and you are not doing it. That creates an inner worry, anguish. When you cannot do it, the question never arises. There is no worry. The worry shows that it is possible now, that you can jump many lives which are unnecessary. You can just bypass, and you are not bypassing. You have become conscious and you have come above nature. Consciousness is a new phenomenon. You have come above nature. And now you can consciously evolve. Conscious evolution is revolution. You can do something about it. You are not just a victim, not just a puppet. You can take your destiny in your hands. That is possible. Because it is possible and you are not doing anything, this creates inner anxiety. And the more you become aware that this is possible, the more the anxiety will be felt. A Buddha is very much worried. You are not so much worried. Buddha was very much worried, in deep anguish, suffering. Unless he attained, he lived in hell. Because he was perfectly aware that something is absolutely possible. Just by the hand, just by the corner. And still I am missing it. Just if I stretch my hand, it will happen. And my hand is paralyzed. Just a step, and I will be out of it. And I cannot take that step. Afraid of taking the jump. When you are near the goal, and you can feel it, and you can see it, and still you go on missing, then you feel anguish. When you are very far away, you cannot feel it, you cannot see it, you are not even aware that there is a goal. You are perfectly unaware of any destiny. There is no anxiety. Animals are not in anguish. They appear happy, more happy than man. What is the reason? Trees are even more happy than animals. They are perfectly unaware. What can happen? What is possible? What is just near the hand? They are blissfully unaware. There is no anxiety. They drift. Man becomes anxious. And greater a man, more anxiety will be there. If you simply live, you are living an animal existence. Religious anguish arises the moment you become aware that something is possible, the seed is there, and I have to do. And I have to do something, and the seed will sprout, and the flowers are not very far away. And I can reap this crop, and still nothing is happening. A very important state is felt. That was the Buddha's condition before he became a Buddha. He was just on the verge to commit suicide. You will have to pass through that. And you cannot leave it to nature. You have to do something about it. And you can do. And the goal is not very far. So don't be depressed if you feel anxiety. If you feel a very intense anguish within you, a suffering, agony, don't feel depressed about it. That's a good sign. That shows you are becoming more and more aware of that which is possible. And now you will never be at ease unless it becomes actual. Man cannot leave it to nature. Because man has become conscious. Only a very minor part of his being is conscious. But that changes everything. And unless your total being becomes conscious, you cannot know again the simple happiness of the animal or of the trees. You will know it now, only there is only one way to become more and more alert, more and more aware, and more conscious. You cannot regress. There is no process to get back. No one can go back. You can remain where you are and suffer. You cannot go back, or you have to go forward and go beyond suffering. Total unconsciousness is blissful. Total consciousness is blissful. And you are in between. A part of you has become conscious. And the major part of you is still unconscious. You are divided. You have become two. You are not one. The integration is lost. Animals are integrated. And then saints are integrated. Man is disintegrated. A part remains animal and a part has become saintly. There is a struggle, conflict. And whatsoever you do, you can never do with one heart. So there are two ways. One is just to deceive yourself. That is to become totally unconscious again. You can take drugs, you can take alcohol, you can take intoxicants. You fall back to the animal world. The part that has become conscious, you drug it, you become totally unconscious. But this is a temporary deception. You will arise again. The effect of the chemical will be lost, and your consciousness will become conscious again. The part which you have suppressed forcibly by the alcohol or drug or anything will arise again. And then you will feel more suffering. Because now you can compare. You will feel more suffering. And you can go on drugging yourself. And there are many methods. Not only chemical, there are religious methods. You can use a japa, a mantra, you can chant it and create an intoxicating effect. You can do many things which can make you unconscious again. But that is going to be temporary. You will have to come out, and you will come with a deeper suffering with you. Because now you can compare what is possible. If in unconsciousness this is possible, in total consciousness, you will become more hungry for it. You will feel more starved. Remember one thing, totality is bliss. If you are unconscious totally, then too it is bliss. But you are not aware of it. Animals are happy, but they are not aware of their happiness. So it is futile. It is just like when you are asleep, you are happy. And whenever you are awake, you are unhappy. Totality is bliss. You can be total in consciousness also. Then there will be bliss and you will be perfectly aware of it. This is possible through sadhana, through methods, through practicing techniques which increase your consciousness. You are not enlightened because you have not done anything for it. But you have become aware that you are not enlightened. This is done by nature in millions of years. The nature has made you aware. You may not be aware of the fact that man has stopped growing as far as body is concerned. We have skeletons millions of years old, but there is no visible change. They are similar as our skeletons are. So for millions of years there has been no growth in the body. It has remained the same. Even the brain has not grown. It has remained the same. As far as body is concerned, evolution has done whatsoever could have been done. In a sense, man is now responsible for his own growth. And the growth is going to be not of the physical. The growth is going to be of the spiritual. The skeleton